Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dennis Wilborn. I hope you've enjoyed the market meltdown today on December 17th, 2018. We'll be taking a real quick look at a couple of items. Some of the things to keep in mind that could be stimulating for the market later in the week is one, we have the Fed meeting coming up. I'll report out on Wednesday. Secondly, we have to be aware, Russell has now entered into what can be categorized as a bear market. Let's see, what else? We'll take a real quick look at gold, oil, and the Russell. The market continues to be sloppy and choppy. Places where we'd anticipate, support levels where we'd anticipate a bounce have basically been sliced through. And so we are in a downtrend. Hopefully you're taking the proper protections necessary to protect your capital gains and gains over the past few years of the bull market, because the bull ain't no more. So, hey, we're more oversold than we were Friday. And so we'll see what transpires from here. Really exciting time. Let's go. I'm going to share my screen with you, and away we go. And so here's what we're doing. The Art and Science of Active Trend Trading. I am the Active Trend Trader. I'm Dennis Wilborn, the founder of Active Trend Trading. We've been in operation since about 2012. Really pleased with our results since 2012. Averaged about 30% per year. Want to remind you that my objective in what I do with Active Trend Trading is to clarify, simplify, so that we can, all multiply our accounts and keep them growing. The clarification, simplification part came from when I was learning how to trade, when I was doing all the CMT work and this type of stuff. I was working full time. I was working 10, 12 plus hours per day, 7 days per week. It was challenging to learn how to trade. But I started back in the early 90s. And what I've done is I've tried to pull together a system that will, one, allow you to participate in the market moves and also not be as burdensome to learn how to trade. So I'm really excited about that. So I went from a Navy career, 23 years, into working corporate America for 10 years. And then I said, you know what? It's time to trade for a living. So that's what I started doing. All materials presented are for training purposes only. Traders should always pay for trade any new method prior to the risk of their own personal capital. Here's where we're sitting. Here's where I'm sitting. Okay, I'm really happy. My wife and I have been renovating our lower section of our house, the family room, and also what turned out to be my office space. And I have my office space back. I'm excited to have my office space back. Took that picture earlier today. Markets down. Everything except the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is hanging on by a thread. Russell, NASDAQ Composite, SPY, S&P, and the Dow all down for the year. Active Trend Trading up for the year. And we're basically, I'm almost flat the market right now. And so the basically Active Trend Trading system has done what it's supposed to do. Basically keep us safe and keep us out of the market, limit our losses. Yeah, I mean, we've had some losses for the year, but we limit our losses to typically no more than 5% on any trade. We basically put our capital into three different strategies, and then trade that across the year. So if you're interested in finding out more, our win-loss ratio back in 2017, 72 and 78%. My objectives for the year: 60% win-loss ratio, return of 40%. I'm increasing my potential target return for next year. I'm looking, because of some of the new changes we've made to the Active Trend Trading with regards to not the system, but what we will be trading, I'm shooting for 55% next year. I'm going to make that, and I'm going to put that out in the public. 55% next year. I'll start with a $100,000 marginal account for the year. And so, as I said earlier, average yearly return since 2012, 30%. For those of you who would be interested in finding out more about what we do with Active Trend Trading, I do provide an opportunity to try out Active Trend Trading at a discounted rate. I don't know how long this discounted rate is going to stay in place. The folks who are running the marketing side say that that it's not going to last much longer. Prices will never be this low again. It's a special price. You can find out about it at activetrendtraining.com/premium membership special. Password is bonus. That'll get you hooked up. You can try it for a month. There's no obligation to continue on from there. But if you like the system, just please let us know. Speaking of liking the system, since this is a free webinar, a free video, if you like the content, please, one, give us a like, a thumbs up on the Facebook page, and also share the link with your friends. Please share, just to let them know what kind of things we're doing we're doing at Active Trend Traders. So with this weekly video, I cover basically market technicals, tracking index updates, potential bonus trades with LABU, LABD, one of those two. Other market driving events, which we talked about earlier with the Fed happening this week. Let's see. Then I want to talk real briefly today about the technical. I provide a tech and a mechanical tip. Today's mechanical tip is no signal, no story, no trade. In other words, if you have no signal, if you have you're following a system that has a specific signal that you want to take, if you don't have a signal, you don't have a story. You don't know what the likelihood of the probability of that trade, trade going into a good trade or not. So without those first two, you don't have the third. In other words, no signal, no story, no trade. Here's a picture of Tesla. And what does the signal consist of? Well, for me, I'm looking at the time period, okay? For each one of these candles, this is a daily chart for each one of these candlesticks. Before it can complete and tell you the full story of what it's trying to tell you, it has to be at the end of the day. In other words, you might go into the last 5 or 10 minutes of the day and say, yeah, that's going to be a hammer, or that's going to be a shooting star like we see up here with a bearish harami. But you're not going to know that at 8 o'clock in the morning. You'll know that more towards the end of the day. So as we see, we're passing on down. We get a signal over here, a nice hammer. It's a follow-up signal at past support. So time, I have to wait to the period of time to be over for me to properly interpret the story that the chart is telling me. So if I'm using an hourly chart, I have to wait to the end of the hour to know what the chart is telling me. One, price action. I want to follow that. Candlestick, support, resistance, and trend. That tells me what the price action is doing. And then I use two modified indicators. Basically, I use the TSI that's been adjusted for what I think gives really good triggers, and also the market forecast. The market forecast is a CAN program I get right from the Thinkorswim platform. I plug those in. As you can see, I want my TSI to be bending up. In this particular market environment, I'll just drop it on you really without any subtleness. If you are trading the TSI or any other kind of oscillator, if you are trying to over-anticipate getting into a trade, I'll take it a little bit early when it is in an oversold condition, you're setting yourself up to get your face ripped off. So we don't want to get our face ripped off. So ideally, what we need to be waiting for is first price action. Boom. Is this at a level of support? And it was. Then, do I have a trade signal? Yes. What are my other indicators telling me? Oh, they're reversing. The momentum is turning up. Aha, it's time to get into this position. Same thing happened over here. As we can see with this particular signal on the far right, edge of the trade, what happened? We get a hammer, and it all, TSI, market forecast, all fell into place, completed on 10/22. Then, over the next 5 days, Tesla runs up 30%. So Tesla is one of those entities that I like to trade, and we keep on our stable of good growth stocks to trade. One, it jumps around a lot. And also, it shows good patterns as part of its volatility, which is awesome. And so that's one of the things we like to trade. So that's what we have. Hey, on the page that this will be posted to on the active trend trading page, you will get 3 different watch lists. One is the IBD running list. Basically, that captures every stock that has been on the IBD 50 for the year. Then I do a sort by fundamentals to show you which of the stocks on the IBD 50 are the strongest in a fundamental basis based on fundamental criteria of the IBD. And then lastly, I go through and I sort all 13 premium watch lists from IBD, and then I basically, the stocks that show up on the most list make it to my, what I call my composite list. And the concept there is if a stock, like here's Cyber, now B, CRM, CL, and then Team, if it shows up on multiple lists, that's a good probability it is of interest to a lot of different institutions. So possibly a good buy. Seasonality, yeah, we're waiting for NASDAQ seasonality to kick in. Seasonality may not kick in this year. Of all the entities that we are following, crude oil happens to, has followed the seasonality chart the best for the year. And right now we're down over here. And sure enough, we got a sell-off today in crude. So we may be down in this area. Crude is so oversold, a relief bounce would not be a surprise. So if you have any questions, hey, shoot me an email, dww@activetrenntrading.com. You can leave me a message on Facebook. Please interact with us on Facebook, leave your comments and all that kind of stuff. And you'll also get hooked up for how to sign up for other free webinars. So as always, and it is not Thanksgiving anymore, we're actually getting ready for the Christmas holidays. And so we will make a correction to that. Should I say happy holidays or happy Christmas? I'll be British today and I'll just go happy Christmas. There you go. So, or as we say here in Hawaii, mele kliki maka. Let's look at a couple of charts real quick and then we'll jump on and then we'll be done for today. I want to say mahalo to everybody for joining us today. So here is, I'm going to start with, first I'm going to start with the IWM, which is the index ETF for the Russell. As we can see, it has fallen down dramatically. How far has it fallen? It said, so if we go to the high for this one over here, it is now, the low today took us down to about 21.5%. Looks like we may go down a little bit further. However, look what's sitting down here. Well, that's kind of exciting actually. Right down there about 134, 133, we've got a strong level of support. So who knows? We may get a reaction all the way down to that level and then a rebound from there. So that's IWM. What's the cues? Are the NASDAQ looking like? Again, as you see, it took out the low from November 20th. Just slightly today, but it did stick its head down below the level. It too is approaching a level where, down here at the 155 level or even the 150 level, it might be an interesting idea to park a trade to either buy some let's say some calls that are out about 6 to 8 weeks, at the 150 level. That appears as if that would, just in case, just we get a really hard sell-off down below that. If it went, $1 past 150 or $1.50, go ahead and close the position out. But in case you're working all, hard, that might be a interesting trade to play. But as you see, Q's stronger than IWM, SPY. Index ETF for the S&P, it too today, let's get it. Okay, again, it too has broken down to new lows. So what should we anticipate on this is basically, yes, we are in a downtrend. And as we've seen in the past, and we keep reiterating back to this, we get basically a thrust down, a reaction up to the moving averages, a thrust down, overshot with the reaction, trade back up, set up for what was looking like it might be inverted head and shoulders, a slight thrust down, slight thrust up. Here was the shoulder, and there's the left shoulder, head, right shoulder. However, failed. Now has pulled on down, and we get a thrust down, slight thrust, reaction up. Now another thrust down. As we can see, we are approaching. We are in a zone. I'll just throw this up here as a. As you can see, I'm going to take basically a snapshot from about here. Raise that up to the bottom of that candlestick right there and run this across. And there is a basic zone where S&P is operating. We do not have a TSI tick up yet on the daily. TSI, tick up positive divergence, good on the weekly, no reversal candle whatsoever. So, however, we're approaching strong support. Again, like the Qs, you might want to go down, but in this case, we want to go down to the 250 level and see if we get a bounce from there. Let's talk about quickly. I'm going to cover LABU. Now, this, of course, is IBB, the biotech, and this is the biotech ETF. As you can see, biotech ETF broke below. Come on, there we go. It broke a little bit below the 100, but closed back above the 100. So let's just, we don't want to get faked out by, these slight tick ups on the TSI. We want to, now we're going to wait for a cross and a tick up on both of them. Very critical. Things are setting themselves up, though, very nicely. We've got support at 100. That fails. We're probably going to go 95 or 90. What does that mean on? So if that is the case, then we want to be lining ourselves up for LABD. There we go. Either trading LABD on a slight pullback. As you can see, LABD is also starting to push on up towards its past highs. So LABD, anything around the 35 level, up to 30, up to about 36. LABU. And LABU, again, TSI weekly daily chart looks like it wants to continue to fall, has not made an effort to reverse. As we saw earlier, what did we say earlier? Is no signal, no story, no trade. Right now, the story on this is, hey, I'm going further down on LABU. Will it get a reversal and move back up? You betcha. But when? Who knows? I mean, we know we're closer to it than we were on Friday, but we're also making new lows. And so just watch TSI, watch the market forecast, daily basis. We have a 3-line cluster on the weekly, which typically, if we have a 3-line cluster, everything below the negative or below the 20 level, that was a bullish cluster. Normally 1 to 5 trading periods after that, we'll get a reversal. So on a weekly chart, what are we talking about? We're talking about 1 to 5 weeks of trading before we would potentially get the reversal. Gold. As you can see well, first, before we go to gold, I want to throw up CL, crude oil. This is crude oil futures, and what it did today was very interesting. We have been paying, it is kind of interesting because it did not quite close below this low we had back on 11/26 on a weekly basis. We came close where the low was 49.36, 49.41, so we broke below it just a hair. But it looks like it wants to fall further. Where to? 45 or even down to 40. So that would be anticipated next move down, and it provides a great example of how even when you have extremely oversold condition on your indicators, you can still, the price actions can still move to further oversold conditions. So right now, oil looks more positive to the downside, to the upside, and also throw up our buddy GC, which is the gold futures. And as you can see what's happening, it's staying within this larger triangle over here. Started to creep back up. TSI is, started to reverse off of the 20-day moving average. So it seems like for gold, that 1240 level on the futures is the place to trade, and that translates to on gold. TLD, that translates to about, you see the gold actually is a lot more jumpier. So I'd say about 117, 117, somewhere between, I would say put a spot in there in between the 8 and the 20. And if you drop the 20, we're probably going to go back down and bounce against this uptrending line. Right now, not a lot to do with gold. If we push higher, that's great. If we break out above this high here from 3 weeks ago, that's 118.23. Break out above 118.23. That brings 120 and 125 into play for gold. So, okay, my friends, that's it. That's all I have for today. On Facebook, thanks for joining us. Members on Facebook, thanks for joining us. And again, hey, become a premium member before the holidays, and you'll get set up for everything that's going to be transpiring into the new year. So with that, I bid you adieu. God bless everybody. And yeah, I will be traveling starting Wednesday this week, and I'll be broadcasting next from Paragould, Arkansas. So God bless. Aloha.